This is the cutter that I made the other day. It's a little bit wider than the picture that I printed out, but I deleted the photo and it wasn't in my trash, so I just quickly tried to find another one that was close without taking up too much time. I did buy a needle nose plier and coil separately. I think it's like steel plated tin or something like that, just off of Amazon. And I did one cutter with this prior to the tooth that I posted and the Yoda cutter that I posted. I did a rectangle and it worked fine. It's okay. I followed some videos from, I don't know, maybe it was Good Housekeeping or something like that, on a woman that showed how you use just these two things to make a cutter and a little scotch tape to close it off. But then I also bought this kit in December of 2021, and it has some extra tools in there to help you bend the shape. This is the coil that you get with the kit. I haven't even opened it yet because I haven't used my original coil yet. So this comes with the kit. They give you some 3M double-sided tape to stick your cutter together, which I used for this one. But then I also wrapped scotch tape around the two previous cutters that I made instead of using the double-sided tape, and that also works surprisingly well to hold the cutter together. You would think the scotch tape wouldn't work, but if you just wrap it around a couple times, it works well. And the lady that I watched the video making a cutter, you can just like look that up, DIY cookie cutter, and find that video, and she just shows you how to wrap around the tape. So you get these tools. The needle nose pliers I bought separately, but you get these tools. You have to screw this smaller peg onto the board, and then there's a larger round peg that fits on top of that one, and then there's this tool that has a really sharp edge that I guess you would use to make some bends without the needle nose pliers, and then it has a more softer point on the other side, so you can have a more maybe rounded bend on your cookie cutter. And then this goes on top, I guess. I don't even know if it does. I really didn't read the directions, but I put this on here to secure it when I'm bending, whether you're supposed to or not. I guess you could just read the directions. I just didn't. I just thought, what the heck, it fits. So it can be secured there. So either you're bending with your needle nose pliers, or you can bend around the edges of this. So I will show you how I make the cutter. You need enough coil that wraps around the perimeter of your cutter, and then I think you can use string to see how much you need, and then like just wrap the string around and then cut it. Some kitchen twine, which I usually have. Here are some just twisty ties. Maybe you could use twisty ties instead to bend around and see how much coil you need. But I'm not going to do the full cutter. I think it's going to take too long if I do the full cutter. We'll see how it goes. So this will be a long, boring video if I do the whole cutter. But you can just wrap some string around or some twisty ties to see how much you need. And then I'll just do a little extra from this because I didn't have an exact measurement. Do a little bit extra, and you need a little extra for overlap. And regular kitchen scissors will work. These aren't my heavy duty kitchen scissors, but I don't feel like walking over and getting them. But even little regular flimsy scissors will work too. The flimsy scissors don't always cut that good, so a more heavy duty one would be better. So hopefully I made this long enough to wrap around. If not, it's no big deal because I'm just doing this for the demo. So on the cutter I did previously, I started here at the bottom, but I think this was getting in the way as I started to get to the right or the left hand side. As I worked my way around to the left hand side, this part was getting in the way. So maybe I will hold off on doing this part and I will start right over here. Maybe I'll make this my first bend and then just flip that over later. And I did forget to get a pencil. Let's see if I can grab one. Nope. I'll just use this marker. Hopefully it works. All right, so I'm going to mark off where my first bend is going to be, which is right here. And usually I just use a pencil for that, and by the time I'm done bending, it rubs off. And then I need to bend that over to the right, and it is a pretty sharp bend. So I'll either use the needle nose pliers or I'll use this tool, and then I just go ahead and bend it. Try to do nice and clean, and then I'll test it out to see if it's the right bend. And if it's not, I'll just do a little adjusting. All right, so then I'm going to mark off my next bend, which is right here. And I usually don't use marker, but I don't have a pencil handy. So I need to do that one to the right. So I'll go ahead and just give that a bend. These little tiny spots are a little bit awkward. And then sometimes I just use the needle nose pliers to help me form that shape. And you can use your fingers too. It's sturdy but soft. And I do need to get a little bit of a curve to that one side. So you can put maybe the bigger tool on and then use that to help you make some nice smooth curves. I think I just curved that out too far. That's all right. I'll just bring it back. And then, all right, good enough. And then I'll go ahead and mark off the next bend. So that needs to come out. And then, I don't even think you have to put it on the board if you don't want to, but I find it easier. So that needs to come out. And then it needs to curve to the left. And then I'm going to use the just tiny small peg here to put that, put a bend in there. The tinier bends are definitely a little bit of a pain. They're a little challenging to do, and that's what took me the longest time when I made the cutter the first time. That's definitely too steep. And then if you put a bend that you don't like, something that's too sharp, if you have the needle nose pliers, you can kind of flatten it and squash it back out. Or you can just use your fingers. All right, that's not too bad. I'm really not making a real cutter, so I don't really need to be that particular. All right, so we're going to the left, and I want a sharp bend, so I'm going to use the sharp side. You can just use the needle nose pliers to do that, or you can use this tool. Okay, so we're going to go this way. These really curvy areas around his ears were like the worst. When I did this, it was the most awkward to do. And you can use the curvy peg, but I'm just going to use my fingers to try to bend this into shape. Maybe I'll use it a little bit. This kind of gets stuck, so you have to like spread it open a little bit and widen it and slide it off if you're going to put that on the peg, which I really feel like that's what it's there for. But again, I'm not 100% sure. All right, so we want to start to turn and curve. To curve. Ooh, I lost my mark. I'm just going to estimate it here and then cross my fingers that I didn't mess up. That's too sharp. I can tell. And the lady that does the video, I think it's a Good Housekeeping, she just uses a needle nose plier the whole entire time. All right, so that's not looking too bad right there. If I were doing this for real, I would go slower, but this is long enough. And again, I usually use a pencil for this, but I don't have one handy. All right, so I'm gonna go with the softer end. His ear right here is a little bit softer of a curve, and I'm going to just bend it around. And then I'm gonna pull this out straighter because it's in the way. Just gonna bend this around the softer edge. And see how that looks. All right, definitely needs to come in. And I think I didn't bend it far enough in. All right, so I am going to try to fix that. If you over bend it too much, you'll end up having to start over. So you like really need to take your time if you don't want to start again. All right, that's closer. And I'm just going to curve this around with my hand. And then figure out where I need to bend it. There. Right here. All right, I think I'll do halfway and then just stop because the video is getting long, but you continue the process all the way around. It does get a little tricky at the bottom. And we want a sharp turn there. And the needle nose plier can just replace all of this. But I just like using that form. Okay, so my ear's a little bit too long here. I didn't bring that curve in enough. And so I would just make sure I take my time with that a little bit more. And then I'm gonna just bend this like so. And then I'm gonna mark this off. And I'll try to fix that curve in a minute after I take care of this bend. And it's a sharp bend. The little peg does keep loosening as I keep putting this form on. So I do have to keep tightening that. I just don't have a screwdriver to really tighten it well. Okay, so what do we got? Right, so that curve needs to be bent a little more. I'll slide on the big piece and I'll try to just use this to make the curve nice and smooth. My other cutter, I gave him an egghead, and I can see myself doing that right now, so just be careful. Try to keep it even. And again, if something goes wrong, you just take a needle nose pliers and you flatten out your shape. But you can't do a lot of redoing it because it will snap the cutter if you do too much reshaping. Right, I don't like this, but I don't want to waste time trying to fix that. Oh, that's better. Okay. All right, so far, not too bad. A little bit more right here. All right, this one's got a tiny little egg head too, but that's okay. So then I'm going to use just my fingers to bend this around. And I could fine tune it if I need to, but that looks pretty good. Maybe a little more. I said I was going to go halfway and I just keep going. Well, if you get the gist, you can just stop the video right now, but I'm gonna, I guess I'll go a little more. All right, what do we got? We want a smooth curve here. Now this is where this part of the cutter was starting to get in the way, and I think I even switched over to using the needle nose pliers at one point because this side was getting in the way. So you can probably bend this out and get it out of the way very carefully, and then just later on pull that side back in, but you have to be careful with the overbending, that you don't overbend too much. All right, so now I'm going to curve this down this way and then push it in. And I'm going to bend this out a little bit and then bring it back in. I'll just bring that back in later. I'm going to try to just bring this side back out and then fine tune it later. Okay, so we need to go to this way, towards the left, and it's sharp. All right, so towards the left and sharp. All right, then I can bring the side back in that I pushed out. You can't do that too much or you will make the cutter weak. And then this needs to come in. And I just did it too much. All right, he's getting there. He's getting there. And you can just fine tune it later. All right, we're on the home stretch. so far, like the only thing I really dislike is that this ear comes out like a little bit too far, but like I said, it's not going to be a real cutter for me, so all right, so I'm going to need to bend this out in order to not have the other side be in my way. So we need to do sharp turn to the left. Now I can fine tune the side of his head. All right, this is the home stretch. Home stretch. All right, so I need a sharp turn here. I need that going that way to the right. And my cutter is definitely in its own way. So I might, no, I got that in there. I was going to switch to the needle nose, but I think that did the trick. Okay. All right, almost there, almost there. Okay, so that needs to go up. And then here, I'm going to go to the left. All right, he's close. He didn't get perfect, but you can do some fine tuning. And we're almost ready to close. All right, I think I did a little too short right here, but we're gonna say that's good enough. Or actually, this looks like it's too, I don't know. Right, we're going with that. All right, last one. I'm gonna move that to the left. I mean to the right, and this towards the left. All right, this is going towards the right. This is going towards the left. And then, oops. And then you just need to cut off the extra. Now, I did go wrong somewhere on the left-hand side. Just a little bit. As I got towards the end, this definitely needs to be changed. You cannot fix it too many times or it will snap. Okay. and then you can just do your fine tuning. So he isn't perfect. I did start to rush it on the left just because I'm trying to get this video done fast, but he's pretty good. I might readjust just down here on the bottom side and change that. It's really bothering me right now, actually, that's not perfect. But like I said, you can do like maybe one fix, but you can't do a whole lot of fixes. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better. There we go. All right, that makes me happy. Okay, and then you just cut off any extra here, like however you decide to do the overlap. I probably would take a little bit more off right here, not have it go right to the edge, and then, you know, just make sure everything's flat and straight and all your curves are the way you want to have them. And then you just grab a little bit of your double-sided tape wherever you have overlap. I think on my other cutter I have like a big piece of overlap, like that's pretty wide, but this one, it didn't get as much overlap. And then stick. Then you can just let that dry a little bit. Make sure you press it good. And then on the first two cutters I used Scotch tape. All right, so there he is. He is pretty darn close to the real thing. He's not perfect, but he's pretty darn close. And when you are doing this yourself, you probably are going to take more time, and you're not going to try to rush through to get it done. And you'll be a little more perfect. When I did this guy here, he actually was super close to the drawing. So that's it. I hope that helped. It's a little bit long on the video. It's 28 minutes. Like I said, it took me about 30 minutes to do the other one. This video is 28 minutes. And maybe the more you do, the quicker that you will get. Baby Yoda.